Hi everyone, I hope you're doing good. Welcome back. Class is in session. Let me minimize this. I'm still getting the hang of this thing. But we're going to talk a little bit about pharmacia because I was researching the ingredients, guys, on cough syrup. You really got to check that out. Just starting there will really wake you up. Like, just take one thing that you get commercially, right? And look up the ingredients. So sad. This is really what helped me get out of mainstream Christianity, because a lot of them work for the medical system, and they're all about worship, praising in public, defying, well, what the book of Matthew even says in chapter 6, like, do not be like the hypocrites, like going to the synagogues. I was watching a few things, and there was this Christian radio station. They even admitted they don't even read the Bible. What's that telling you? And of course, doctors are under the influence. They're all drunk, right? As they say, with the wine of the wrath of the fornication. I mean, it's really incredible how they can be so deceived. But we were told a great deception was coming. And they try to, of course, plagiarize. A lot of them claim to be the chosen. I don't use that type of terminology. I claim to be a watchwoman, like a type of watcher, like being vigilant, and like a whistleblower. In the secular world, you get that too, right? And so you see the two snakes because they do not want to expose this. So when I was in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, I like sharing a little bit of my story, just because if anyone's in it, they could be in the same situation, right? In case you're gonna start going through layers of spiritual awakening, and that verse that says, "Come out of her, my people," of course it's initially speaking to the Israelites, right? But it rings true to the whole medical system, Babylon, this whole spiritual Babylon they speak of. So I was noticing people in my family being destroyed from the medical system, and of course I wasn't doing too well myself, right? And we've all been played into thinking what they were doing is correct, because they call evil good and good evil, right? And the stuff that we're doing, they don't even take that to heart. Like, I was trying to teach certain people about true health, and these are tangible things that can save your life of your neighbor. Yeah, did you know Baphomet? I mean, this stuff goes so deep. I mean, the more you read into it, and I talk a lot about transhumanism. They don't want to go there. Drinking elderberry today. I'm gonna show you a little bit on Robitussin, and they're so sketchy, guys, too, because when you Google it on your phone, right? Because I couldn't pull it up, the ingredients, like I can here, because it shows, I don't know if you can see. Let me see my camera. I gotta pull it up like this. It tells you citric acid, polyphenol. Is that too distracting? You know what I mean? It says citric acid, corn syrup. We all know about so this is supposed to be medicina, right? This is supposed to be your medicine. See, and a lot of them are online now promoting all these fad diets and shit. All these programs, right? A lot of these Christians, and I would think I don't really listen to a lot of so-called Muslims online. I know the Moors expose some things. I know the Israelites do too. And there are, a lot of us are doing it too, So-called Canaanite people. I've seen it all kinds, so those are the ones right there that really have your best interest in mind, because, these churches, they're like related to a lot of these hospitals. They have affiliations, right? So it's like you can't serve two masters, I thought. But anyway, it has red dye number 40, glycerin, maltol, anything with the word mal, I'd be careful, polyethylene glycol. Propylene glycol, isn't that like the active ingredient in antifreeze? I can't with these people. I can't with these people. There's some good thumbnails here. You might as well give a person that, right? 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 People, they don't expose the real sorcery because they have no knowledge of the Most High, right? Because they think, what is sorcery? Just chanting, what, just celebrating Halloween? Like, they do such basic, like, exposés. They're out of their mind. But, this right here is, pharmakia and sorcery. And you'll be surprised, like, why do they need 50 ingredients in a product that's $4? Well, look up IG Farben and how it cost them a lot of money after the war to dispose of this waste. You know, I'm on my last strike, guys, so this is a topic to get all, you know. And so I guess it was just cost efficient to repackage it to us. I mean, that's truth, you know. So if I get unjustly censored, they're going to get a conditional acceptance up in here or some type of claim of lien because I'm getting tired of being ball gagged. But anyway, sodium benzoate. Too many. Sodium, you got to sound them out. Any type of word you got to sound out syllable by syllable because it has like 20 letters. You should watch out. But it'll help you think too. Carbo, oxy, anything with oxy, and be careful, like oxycodone. Be surprised a lot of the derivatives, and they sell this over the counter. Like the side effects and what it does to your body is worse than your so-called cough, right? And I hear that's how the demonic realm is gaining access, is through the portals of pharmakia, just so you know. And this is considered, you know, Robitussin cough medicine. You wouldn't think, but it is. You might as well be drinking that and giving that to your children. So sodium carboxymethylcellulose, sodium saccharin. I thought saccharin wasn't good for us. Was that some type of sweetener? Sorbitol and water. This is just the inactive ingredients. Hold on, guys. And you think that's such a horrible picture, right? But that's what we look like when we bring our children to these witch doctors. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't come up when I do it, but I'm gonna even show you their active ingredients and what that jazz is all about. So buckle up, boys and girls. It's gonna be a wild ride. So it goes back to a lot of Greek. No, am I a expert in Greek? No. Very interesting language, though. Something I would like to, you know, you do learn. A lot of these Christian churches, they only take the English translation and they don't go back to the language of the Hebrews and, you know, the language the Most High was speaking to his people. You know, you have to have kind of an awareness, and that's why it's important. Like, I was really interested in the history, like, who are these people in relation to today? They didn't want to explain it. They're like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, of course it's got to matter because you see all these conflicts and we're supposed to learn from it. And I'll even take a verse of their revelation because it says sorcerers are going to be thrown into the, you know, so-called second death, lake of fire, whatever that may be. And sorcery, the real term, the so-called magic, this is like anytime you chemically alter a biological process, you know, that's considered sorcery. And that's what we do. We're doing that constantly, guys, right? So let me get my big head out of the way, because I'm learning how to work this. It's pretty cool, though. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. My day is full. My little office area is a big mess. Sometimes I can't bring up these stupid pictures, right? Because witchcraft isn't always what you think it is. In fact, many people don't know that pharmaceutical drugs is witchcraft. The word pharmacy comes from the Greek word pharmakia, which means magic, sorcery, enchantments. And you need eSword. Is really great just to drive that home. It's free on your desktop, but I've noticed they want you to pay on your phone, unless I'm mistaken, because I was trying to put my friend onto this information, and I was showing her on our phone, and she was like, oh, you know, how do you get this? And I was trying to help her download it, but it wanted a fee of $3.99. So I told her, you know, if you have a computer, do that, or you could just look it up. But all you have to do, it shows you to the left all of the books in the King James. I don't see the one for the Apocrypha, so it's just the 66 books here, but that's fine. That's enough to work with. And you would click on the chapter of your interest, and you'd come up here and you see the compare. You would just press that, okay, if that's something new to you. And then go down. We're going to analyze the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 8. But the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake, which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Excuse me, second death, guys. Now you see on the right, you'll have a letter corresponding with the number. In the Old Testament, it'll be the letter H, which will be Hebrew, because the Old Testament, the Hebrew canon, that was the original, and throughout the generations it's been translated, you know, into the Septuagint, the Vulgate, the KJV. So this will give us a great understanding. So as you can see that there is, a lot of you know this already, but for the newbies, there's a letter G, which would imply Greek. So it's really fun. You can get a stencil pad. You can learn, you know, draw out the letters. A lot of these young people, they're great artists. I'm like, why don't you guys pick up calligraphy and stuff? You know, I have a pad anytime I have time to get to it, right, guys? I'm so busy with all this other stuff, but you know what I mean. That would be what I do in my downtime, right? When I do carve out and I want to be creative, you know. And a lot of these ancient scripts, you know, you would need certain pens, you know, for that. So we'd want to analyze the word sorcerers, right? So right to the right, you're going to see G5332. All you have to do is hover over it. It'll let you click on it as well. And you'll see it on the bottom. So it'll give you the Greek, it'll give you the English pronunciation, pharmakias. So it's even spelled like that. And it'll give you the pronunciation key, which is really helping sounding things out. And it'll tell you a drug that is spell given potion. Okay? A druggist. And it tells you pharmacist. So pharmacist is akin to a poisoner. That's why I get a really nasty vibe anytime I walk by one. You know, at these stop and shops, they have pharmacies inside. I'm like, whatever. You know, there are so many chemicals. You know, the last laugh will probably be on them, right? And it says that is by extension a magician or sorcerer. And I notice in a lot of these mainstream Christians, watch out with their forked tongues. I talked about how they control people using their tone. They'll talk very sweet and all of that stuff, right? And then when you try to show them the Bible and you try to show them actual laws in the Bible and facts, they will call you a legalist. They're calling it legalism, right? Right? You like to flip things when you're trying to follow the Most High's way. You keep pushing that Jesus, that's fine. Jesus is going to escort them all the way to hell. That's probably what his job is. So, a magician, a sorcerer, okay? What is the biggest problem in this world today, right? If not people being hurt by Big Pharma. I mean, the statistics are so so disheartening, right? And we could go into that. We can go into IG Farben. Just wanted to show that they're going to get what's coming to them. Because this is a big, big, big deal. Something they should be exposing. And they refuse. Okay? They refuse to go there. So, where do I start? Because, you know, they think they're funny. Because they're trying to come up with, you know, I just Googled some of these ingredients just to show you these are the so-called active ingredients in something like, now they want to see how they are. You know how I'm drinking elderberry right now. Get the real elderberry. First of all, it grows all, probably in your region. You just need one of those books, right? Oh, this stupid ad. Let me go back then. Or you can buy it online. You can buy tea already prepared. You can buy freeze-dried ones. There's all kind. So they really hold on to, you know, there's so many ingredients at home that can help with cough right in your own cupboard, and you don't even know it. And you think that this doesn't have a accumulative effect over time. You can be on prescription, you can take various over-the-counter medications, you can mix it with Tylenol. You don't know the contraindications, right? You see people younger and younger just, right? And a lot of it, I like to expose toxemia. That was something major, okay? And some people in my family, they go even harder with the psychosis of the mainstream Christianity, but they're still not telling the truth. And I went in the direction of exposing all this stuff, and I've gotten out of the whole medical system. Like, if I'm to go, it's because I was in an accident, right, to get patched up, but not for preventative care. There is no need. And that means people do not have knowledge of the Most High or the real Most High or the Bible, because they say Jesus and they say Father in the same breath. So what's good, right? So their active ingredient is Dextromethorphan. Oh, there's that meth. They want to give us meth all the time. Methorphan. Yeah, you're going to turn into an orphan. Your parents take enough of this stuff. And then you have this ingredient. So I have them both pulled up. This Guaifenesin. So you got 400 milligrams of that. So many things that right at home that can expel mucus and all that. You kidding me? Have a little bit of ginger. Some of the spices, like I make my own taco spice with the paprika, salt and pepper, oregano. It'll be so spicy you'll be blowing your nose after. That's why a lot of the spicy food does that. It's great. It like cleans you all out. I rarely ever get clogged up. But it has to be like a daily thing. Right now I'm doing my tea. You should be doing something similar, whatever, because I do drink a lot of coffee and it can't be all coffee. But you see all this nonsense and you see how they're trying, because they know people are waking up to the truth, guys. I love it. But you have to be sharp, right? Sharper than a sword. Now we want to go into this word because I had this up. I mean, the side effects are terrible. So it's called Dextromethorphan. We'll read a little bit of that. See how much time we're working with. Because this is like my little in-between, my lunch break, you could call it. It's also known as DXM. Is a medication most often used as a cough suppressant in over-the-counter cold and cough medicines. It is sold in syrup, tablet, spray, and lozenge forms. Guys, I really expose morphine. I have a video up called The Land of Nod, if you go back. It's all about putting us to sleep. I speak of how we're like in the Wizard of Oz, right? And okay, who's to think, right? And you got to look at these molecules. You learn a lot from that, right? And it's like, who's to think the cough syrup is going to be in the morphine class? Morphinian, you know, like Morpheus, which is a class of psychoactive drugs consisting of opiate analgesics, cough suppressants, and dissociative hallucinations, among others. They know what they're doing, giving people this. They know what they're doing. And also, like, you're on the road. That's why I say, like, I just like going where I have to go, and I'm very, very cautious when I'm on the road, because people are swerving left and right. I've seen people who kill themselves driving into a store. Like, clipping a curb, and like 2 people dead. I mean, that's a story that happened just 2 years ago. Unbelievable. So it makes you think, well, medications, you know, right. So dissociative, and a lot of these medications you wouldn't think, but they're not. It's not even prescription, it's over the counter. So it has a dissociative and a stimulant property at lower doses. My goodness. Dextromethorphan does not have a significant affinity, it says, for the mu opiate receptor activity, typical of morphinian compounds. And it occur, you know, of course, always has that white powder. I mean, that's how they, you know, it always starts, right, as a powder. And it's, of course, it's always used recreationally because it has an addictive quality to it, which a lot of the stuff on the commercial market does for very insidious reasons, we'll just say. When exceeding approved doses, dextromethorphan acts as a dissociative hallucinogen. It has multiple mechanisms of action, including actions as a non-selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. There's a lot of literature on the dangers of taking these. And he prescribed them for people with emotional issues, aka spiritual issues, aka all you need is the Most High and His herbs and His wisdom. You'll be all set, right? And healing from your trauma. So much, right. So they're giving this to people, and the consequences are deadly, catastrophic. So it's a major metabolite. Dextromethorphan also block the NMDA receptor at high doses, which produces effects similar to other dissociative anesthetics. That's some powerful stuff, such as ketamine. Okay, if you were a young adult in the 90s and the early 2000s, that was floating around. Yeah, guys, by the grace of the Most High, I'm still here. I tried that shit once. Someone gave that to me. Yeah, you have like a out-of-body experience. It's almost like a acid trip, if you can think. It's like everything turns into like a video game. And I actually operated a vehicle going to the mall like that once with my friend. By the grace of the Most High, I'm still here. I don't remember getting there or getting back. Imagine. So there's a I say that to say that this stuff does go on each and every day, and you don't even realize, you don't gotta. So when anybody is quick to, you know, because all these Christian churches is all about, oh, helping those on drugs, just use this shit. How do they come to those drugs? How do they come to a lot of these habits, guys? A lot of this stuff is over the counter, and then a lot of times they become, who knows, right? But they don't always start with the street stuff, right? It's like they've molded a generation of garbage pail kids, right? So it has the same effect, nitrous oxide. This is cough syrup. This is like Robitussin. This is what your grandmother would write, right? Right. And phencyclidine, another hallucinogen. It was patented, of course. That's why it gets pushed so much, because profits, you know, they're all about prosperity, profit, right? And the Bible talks about false prophets, and just think about that, right? So it was patented in 1949 and approved from it. So it was like patented for something else completely, I'm sure. And then, of course, they try to get their way into it. But you get into the whole realm of pharmacokinetic, which is a branch of pharmacology dedicated to determine the fate of substances administered to a living organism. So that's an interesting field as well. So this horrendous drug, we'll call it, because, you know, I love how even the mainstream Christianity And I'm sure others too, right? They all like pound their chest over herbs, especially cannabis, and call that a drug, which it's actually technically a flower. Like, stop labeling things wrong. That's defamation of the Most High's herbs that he says for the healing of the nations, right? But these things I considered drugs. And we were taught, I thought, just say no, just say no. And then they got us saying yes to this all the time. So they have us, for the flu, common cold, mostly cough, right? And then in 2000, so it has neuropsychiatric disorders. You can go down there. Wonderful, right? All the problems with these young people. And it really explains why a lot of young people have been committing suicide and all these other horrendous stories that I hear. That at first I'm just like, how could it be? This is when the secular world talks about chemical imbalance. In theory, that could be true. Yeah, if you're ingesting a bunch of harmful chemicals, that will do something to your mind, will it not? So of course the FDA, if you don't know anything about these alphabet soups agencies, check them out, right, and see how they push the most dangerous protocols first before anything innocuous, right, like herbs. So they approved the combination drug Dextromethorphan quinidine. So of course, when the patent runs out, they try to make a new concoction, and they'll, say, oh, it's for some. They'll have like one thing for like 100 different symptoms and ailments. Like, how could that be? Like, they try to copy what like one herb can do, but like it fails miserably. So they put this potion for the treatment of pseudobulbar, which I never heard that before, which is uncontrollable laughing or crying. Is that like a demon-possessed person? Like, how does that happen? Or what are they, on mescaline or something? I mean, really, that's the only time I can see somebody like that. Dextromethorphan is the actual therapeutic agent in the combination. Quinidine merely serves to inhibit the enzymatic degradation of dextromethorphan and thereby increase its circulating concentrations via inhibition of CYP2D6, which is an enzyme called cytochrome. Interesting. It's expressed mainly in the liver and in the areas of the central nervous system. So it says in 2013, a randomized clinical trial found that dextromethorphan may reduce the overall discomfort and duration of withdrawal symptoms associated with opiate use. Isn't that crazy? It's like, has the same constituents as that, but again, you're dealing with fork-tongued entities, right? And they're not going to expose these in a lot, and those that do, then, they have the truth on them, right? Because a lot of them won't. They'll just say, you just gotta pray to Jesus, you gotta pray to this person or that person, but don't tell you, like, you need to stop sinning against your own body and against, the Most High's laws, right? And we do all the time, and then we wonder why we get sick, because once I got off all this junk and I started doing things holistically, I mean, I've healed my children in so many ways by the grace of the Most High and His remedies, by Him inspiring me to try it. And we've been so brainwashed that at first you're a little scared to just do that and not use any medicine. Like when I had pneumonia, like the one time in so many years that I ever got it, I was like, when you cough and it hurts your lungs and stuff, right? And like I just did this, and like in a few days I was alright. And like, it's crazy, I was ashamed how a little bit nervous I was. And like, and it's been a game changer for everybody around me. Those that, had the wisdom to follow suit. So it says, when combined with Klonidine, I've heard that before, dextromethorphan reduced the overall time. They make all these crazy allegations, and of course you got this equate trash, which is not any better, right? because they're both the same with their adverse effects and their active ingredient. It says because dextromethorphan can trigger a histamine release, which is akin to an allergic reaction. You see how in their roundabout way, because they like to use double speak, how they're telling you the truth, but you know, it's almost like reading law dictionaries and stuff, because you think you understand. We put our own interpretation on things, right? You just got to see how, you know, their definitions flow, because they'll kind of tell you, and they tell you in parentheses, which, you know, logically will have you think that that's the same thing. Histamine release allergic reaction. So it's saying that this can develop, of course, because it's inherently toxic for your body. Atopic children. They're calling people now who have a natural reaction to this poison atopic. You know, now they're labeling people who just can't handle this poison. You know, a lot of people are saying they're terraforming the earth to suit these demonic entities, right? And people need to look up Georgia Guidestones. So it's saying atopy is the tendency to produce an exaggerated immunoglobulin E, the IgE, immune response to otherwise harmless. So yeah, right. You see how they talk. So let's look at the adverse at normal therapeutic doses. They say at even taken as prescribed, you're already in a world of hurt. Okay. Body rash, itch. Now you just started off with the cough. You know, we're just going with the cough. Yeah, may it hurt a little. Well, these herbs will take care of the pain too and inflammation. People forget how polluted the air is, right? So, and sometimes your homes too, you gotta clean and stop using freaking Fabuloso and Lysol to clean your stuff. You gotta use non-toxic products. You can use white vinegar. There's like things you can use with the essential oils, you know. You can always go into videos on different products, right? But at least be careful and not use so many potent products, and open your windows. Even in the winter, even today, like I gotta open the windows, I gotta wash my windows, you know. And you'd be surprised how much crap you get off there that you're breathing in, right? So nausea, vomiting. So these are already your body's way of telling you, hey, abort mission, you've been fucked up, right? It's already saying that like something's wrong, and it'll start having it. So it's like a toxicity thing. And so, oh, they'll tell you, oh, this is all normal. Yeah, normal when you ingest something poisonous. Your body will start doing these things. That's why if I get really nauseous, like that happened to me a few weeks ago. I got so nauseous out of the blue, and I was like, oh, something poisoned me. I don't know what it was, but because these side effects come up with poisoning, right? Which is most of our problems nowadays. So you'll see drowsiness, because you see a lot of people with these issues thinking it's age, this, that, right? Constipation, which can lead to a lot of diseases. Tim Morrow was big on exposing that to people. Diarrhea, which is a way of your body producing a lot of water. You'll have like runny stool because it's trying to flush out the toxin. That's why that's happening. Sedation, confusion, nervousness, closed eye hallucination. They say, oh, a rare side effect is respiratory depression. Excuse me? Yeah, that can happen all the time, because remember, they said this comes from the morphine class. I know a lot of people, you get diagnosed with cancer, at the end you find out they were given this and they were actually dying from the respiratory depression, being labeled cancer. No, it wasn't cancer that did it. So, it's also been, neurotoxicity, they tell you. So it's like, caveat emptor, buyer beware, proceed at your own risk. So, I hope that this video does circulate so people can really understand the level of pharmacia, how much happens with it right over the counter. Right over the counter. You don't even need a prescription anymore. And this has been thought to cause Olney's lesions, right? Which is a form of potential brain damage due to drugs that have been studied experimentally and have produced neuronal damage, yet still are administered by your witch doctors to you. Okay. Alright, they just told you what it was. And they said, oh, only when it's administered. Don't give me that. Don't give me that. Both ways, I'm sure. So it's very interesting how it produces a psychological dependence. But it just told you up here, it's supposed to help with see? You know, withdrawals. A lot of people, you know, it tells you right here, oh, it's supposed to help with withdrawal symptoms, but opiate use. And not much later did we go, it was saying it produces this, right? And most people now have a very limited memory, so they probably won't even remember, hey, I just read that, that doesn't even make sense, right? And people who used it recreationally, it is considered less addictive, quote unquote, I'm sure, than any other common weak opiate cough suppressant codeine, since Dextromethorphan also acts as a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, which those are very dangerous. This is not medical advice, this is just for entertainment purposes only, quote unquote. Users report that regular recreational use over a long period of time can cause withdrawal symptoms similar to those of antidepressant discontinuation syndrome. I didn't make these words up, they're telling you, I'm just reading it to you, right? Additionally, disturbances have been reported in sleep, senses, movement, mood, and thinking. That's why people can't even hate, guys. They can't even hate. Because, and you almost like, you can't always just blame the pharmaceutical people either, because you see the commercials, right? They'll give you these people frolicking in the field, and it's like commercial after commercial naming this drug, which is like a weird name. It's like some type of abracadabra name, right? And then at the end, while the person's at the beach and they're bicycling with their loved one and they're just seizing life, right, as they say, at the end they speak real fast like an auctioneer. You know, side effects include seizures, bleeding of the anus, all this stuff, right? Like, blah, 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 blah. Like they say it so fast at the end, you're like, you hear this, but they're still playing the same commercial. That is witchcraft in itself, because you're like, yeah, I don't think I'll feel like going for a stroll or going on a bike if I'm bleeding out my anus and I'm having a seizure and you know, all of this stuff. You're like, wow, we are in, you know, so-called Wizard of Oz and all that stuff. You know, Teddy, bro. Let me get myself out of here so we can see how far we can go with this. But adverse effects, and overdose even higher, but everyone's overdose level's gonna be different. Like, I'm a petite woman, I'm like $110, right? And my husband is like 230, okay, 6'2". His poisonous fact, or his overdose level, is going to be a lot different than mine. And it's going to be the same for you as well, right? Or your loved one, or a child even, or a small, right? And you can't just trust the recommended doses they're telling you. So it says mild nausea, restlessness, insomnia, talking fast. You know, you got a lot of that people on TV too. Dilated pupils, glassy eyes, dizziness. And at doses they say 15 to 75 times. That's just a guesstimate. It could be different for a lot of people. Hallucinations, disassociation, vomiting, delusions of grandeur. Oh wow. Blurred vision, double vision, who knew, right? Bloodshot eyes, dilated pupils, sweating, fever, bruxia, which is a teeth grinding. You guys seeing this well on your phone? Let's go into it. Just in case you're on your phone. hypotension, hypertension. It's like your body is going all over the place. Tachycardia, that's huge, huge. Shallow respiration, you're literally suffocating to death, right? And they say a lot of people in these hospitals, it is like akin to drowning, because at the end, it's so hard to breathe, and that's a horrible way to go, guys, you know? Diarrhea, urinary retention, which, you know, your urinary tract is a channel of elimination, so you don't want to retain it if you can expel it. Sedation, paresthesia, which is a transient or chronic causes hypomania, which is a mental and behavioral disorder. You know, non-contextual elevation of mood. So when people are too happy, happy, joy, joy, it's, you know, slurred speech. A lot of the stuff that you think is normal are signs that there is an abnormality too in a person, right? Blackouts, inability to focus eyes, skin rash, false positives on drug. This, you know, what is that telling you? That this is a very strong, strong drug. Does how many people probably lost opportunities or had their children taken away because of these lies out here? You know, false positives on drug screen. That's why you shouldn't ever incriminate yourself. They have no right to take your DNA or your bodily fluid. That's why learning your rights is so important. I do that a little bit here, right? But I'm still studying that, and you got to be careful teaching people that far into it. You know, I like to read the laws and stuff like that, right? But a lot of people misuse information. They're just living on fear too much, and someone in a primal state of fear can be a very dangerous person. I've seen that firsthand. So spontaneous memory recall, acute psychosis is just really interesting what the body does under these conditions. Episodic acute psychosis can occur when high doses of dextromethorphan are taken for recreational use, and an abundance of psychiatric symptoms can result, including dissociation and other PCP-like symptoms. This is some serious dark roads, guys. I mean, this is just your cough scissor, you know? That's why they have songs about scissor. Because this stuff is like a potion all in itself. You know, pharmakia at its best. So it tells you there's so many interactions not to take with this whole class, monoamine oxidase inhibitors. So a lot of people are getting prescribed. Is your doctor even telling you? And due to the potential for serotonin syndrome, actually going down this road took me to some law stuff, which I will do another video on, because you see, I like to really dissect, because we didn't even go into the second active ingredient. I'm trying to see if there's time here. I might have to do a follow-up. That's okay too, because I wanted to show you a little bit of natural remedies at the end of this, right? And not, you know, just show you a little bit of what pharmakia really looks like in real time. And I like giving different examples. I do have videos like this, and this was something that helped me wake up and get out of the you know, spiritual Babylon, so to speak, right? And also grapefruit juice. I'm noting there's something very, very strange about grapefruit, right? It actually magnifies the effects of these pills and potions. And I'm not sure if people are getting that type of disclaimer. It says, as compounds in grapefruit, that can be a whole other thing, they affect a number of drugs. And that's just one. It says some fruit juices and fruits. So it can be other fruit juices and other fruits. Oh man, so be careful. Also bergamot too is in that class. Lime, as well as a number of non-citrus fruits. Okay, so it's not just citrus. Right? So the pharmacokinetics, it's rapidly absorbed from the gastrointestinal tract, where it enters the bloodstream and crosses the brain barrier. That's when all hell breaks loose. At therapeutic doses, dextromethorphan acts centrally, meaning that it acts on the brain as opposed to locally on the respiratory tract. See that? So it, you know, it goes right to the brain, even more than the respiratory tract, which you just wanted it to go there to take care of your cough. Now remember, you started off with a so-called cough. You go to the store, you know, what do they say? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. You're just minding your business, right? Going to the store, you know, getting some medicine for your loved one, and then they get in all kind of issues. They're hallucinating, they're acting wild, they're being, you know, so many things can happen, guys. So many things can happen. I'm so annoyed at myself too for buying all the bullshit. I could have saved myself a lot of headaches. I was just trying to show you the dyes, because it's funny, when you look up, all you got to do on your phone is just put Robitussin ingredients, and it shows up right away. But when you do that, it just shows articles and little thing. It wasn't even showing it like that. So you really got to look at the labels and stuff. I'm sure it'll show in the labels too. Talks about the different half-lives and all that. Let's see if there's anything here that stuck out. I read this last night. And so, you know, it's similar to the class of the, you know, antipsychotics is a huge, you know, they're giving it to little children. I've seen it with 5-year-olds. It's disgusting. It's disgusting what they're doing. Let me get myself out of this frame so I can show you other things that I had for you. I wanted to show you something that could help as well. I don't like to leave you hanging like, oh no, what do we do about it then? A lot of different references, but this was just the one drug, and as you see also cough syrup. Bring it up a little bit more without getting too crazy. But other labels you've seen, Benylin, store brands. Look at all these store brands. DM, Ucinex, right? Camidex 20. They have all these names because of these patents and stuff. NyQuil. We've all had that Dime Tap. Vicks. Oh, everybody is so... They love their Vicks. Did you know it's owned by Procter and Gamble? Look at that. And Helen of Troy Limited. You can't make that shit up. Helen of Troy Limited is a partner over the Vicks Corporation. Oh boy. Vicks manufacturers. Yeah, the Trojan horse. I wanted to say how a lot of this pharmacia was. This is the Trojan horse we've allowed, right? We should all just, you know, that all that stuff needs to be buried as the chemical waste it really is. And I talked about a lot of the Matrix movie. It's funny how this is red too, because you got Morpheus with the red and the blue pill, right? Right, with the red and the blue pill. He's like, you know, pick one of each, and you're like, oh, you think the red pill is so much different than the blue pill. But if you go into the name morphine, it'll tell you it derives from the god of dreams, right? And hypnos and all that. And you'll find red and blue morphine pills. And what's even more strange is that I found that the red pills, I'm like, they have to be stronger or a higher dosage, so I was all looking it up. Indeed, the red is stronger, so he wants you to take the red pill, but then you go farther in the rabbit hole, right? Farther into Wonderland. They make you think, no. Because even in this verse too, you know, Revelation 21, I put it up. We went into what that sorcery would mean, right? It says, but the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers, you know, abominable, they're trying to create abominations, doing all this transhuman. What do you think all of this attack on your body, temple, right? And I don't care how long you've known this person. I've seen people that I went to church with, you know, pastors, you name it. And they're up there teaching the wrong things. They're not exposing anything. They say they care about your health. They say They're all about, you know, health and wealth and, you know, getting you on the right track. But they never expose the pharmakia because they themselves are still tied to it. And it says right here, sorcerers, you know, they are two sorcerers, you know, and idolaters, because a lot of people are halfway. They're serving two masters. They're like, I hear what you're saying, but I still want an allopathic doctor and a holistic. Like, I'll do both. You can't do both. You got to go all in with the Most High, because all these herbs and all this stuff, it's not going to work if your body is constantly trying to detox all the poison you're giving it all the time. And you'd be surprised, even on your best efforts, we're still exposed to it. May it be from these automobiles, may it be from these buildings pumping whatever through their chimneys, may it be from, you know, the 5G boxes that are on these different poles and chimneys. You see it everywhere. You see it every day. You know, we're already in a very toxic society. I don't think we can afford any more toxicity. As they say, a lot of people think they have a lot of allergies. Well, yeah, a lot of the chemicals cause that, you know, and cause autoimmune issues. So, and liars, because these people are liars. They smile in your face, or they talk like so sweet and holy the now, but they never tell you anything. I'll listen to a Bobo Christian podcast, you know, because I have a relative now. She's a talk show host now. And I listened to the whole 30, and I'm like, what did I get out of this conversation? I didn't get anything that was going to edify me in real life, because they're nothing but liars, and they will have their pot in the lake, which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. And I don't say that lightly. Like, that shit does not come lightly. It does not come lightly. I didn't write those words. I didn't create all our souls. I didn't create my family, right? I'm not in charge of your soul. You're not in charge of mine. But the Most High did create us all. And we have a duty to warn people to follow the Most High in spirit and in truth, because people don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. They want to do it just spirit, but it's wrong, because the next level up is what? Like the belt of truth. When you look at the whole armor of God, the feet of righteousness, then it goes to the sword of the spirit, and I think the belt of truth, right, is next. But they don't want to go up that high. It's like levels. They have, you know, they get stuck. But these are some natural remedies you're going to love. Thyme is great. And you know what? A lot of these spices and stuff, you'd be surprised. They were considered currency once upon a time. So I have this printed out. I had it for myself. I mentioned it yesterday. So this gives you a couple of recipes. You know, and it's great for the two types, you know, the wet cough and the dry. Which they call a productive cough, is one in which you are coughing up phlegm or mucus. This is not a cough that should be suppressed, as your body needs to rid itself of the gunk that's in your chest and lungs, okay? While it shouldn't be suppressed, some of these remedies will address a productive cough by including an expectorant. So again, you know, cough is a natural part of your body, getting rid of anything that's not good. But if it becomes like painful or you're irritated, and it explains the difference between the dry and productive. You know, so if you have like a dry cough, it's, you know, it's nagging at you, this will help by loosen up some mucus and makes it easier, so the body can get rid of it, okay? A dry hacking cough, they say, is another story. This is one we do not want to stop. It can be caused by allergies, dry air, a random tickle at the back of your throat that won't go away, the aftermath of a cold, being in a dusty environment. For these, we turn to demulcents. So there are different categories, ingredients that soothe irritated mucous membranes, and you can look up different herbs, they'll tell you that, or aromatherapy books, and remove the irritant triggering the cough. So it says, we just went over these two, I guess there was a study, and it says it has the same effectiveness, which I like to propose that it's actually better without all those horrific side effects, right? They say honey, everyone knows about honey. I myself have backed up with honey. I do, if you need a carrier, maple syrup is great, and it has so many vitamins in real, authentic maple syrup. Because I learned a lot from the Israelites, and I heard that they said this was an unclean food. So I try to stick with the dietary laws, because the Most High does know what he's doing, right, with his creation. So just following that has alleviated a lot of my health issues, right? So a lot of these mainstream Christian churches and other, some other churches, I don't know much about the Muslims and the other different ones. I know that they don't eat pork, but I don't know the things that they ascribe to. So I'm just speaking from my experience and my upbringing. So they say you can just, just take it in some honey will control coughing. Again, I think there's other ways. I really like my teas, but licorice root, I'm not a fan of licorice, but there are people who wouldn't mind. And the licorice root is both an expectorant and demulcent, simultaneously soothing your airways while loosening and thinning mucus, easing congestion. It can also ease any inflammation that may be irritating your throat. Its main constituent, glycyrrhizin, is responsible for most of its effectiveness. So it's really great because they, all of these natural compounds, you're going to find, a lot of really potent compounds right in the natural sources, So I'll tell you what it really goes into it. So licorice root, you'll get a recipe. So I'll put this for you, because you'll get different recipes. This is something I printed out. You don't have to. You see how fun it is working with herbs, When I do mine every day, it's been so therapeutic. See, I'm not sick. I'm not feeling all messed up, right? But, just doing this daily has been quite the game changer. I haven't been sick in a long time, guys. So we're going to wrap this up soon. I don't have much time left. I guess we'll do other parts, because I had so many windows open, and I'm like, don't like to rush through it, right? Because you can really pack in too much in one vid. And I'm already giving you a reference. I gave you how to go into eSword, how it's free on your desktop. You can just click on the word sorcery, and that's where you get the term, the pharmakia, where obviously the term pharmacy comes from. And get, the PH and the F are really interchangeable in these languages, you notice, right? Because you have the farm, which is the farm where people raise their crops and their herbs, where you would get your medicine, right? You'd get your herbs, you'd get what you need, and then they turned it into the PH. What does that tell you, right? That they make you think it's something different. So that's where they play with words, and this is sorcery. A lot of people use salt water, of course. This is great for sore throats. It's a great remedy. Make sure you use distilled water. Make sure it's warm. It's not too cold. You can, So, and the salt that you use, I'll have to do a whole different vid on that, because they're really pushing low sodium diets, guys. That's going to mess you up. It's going to mess up your electrolyte balance. If you get Himalayan salt, Celtic sea salt, the ones with all the minerals still intact. We don't want to use the sodium chloride. If it's just white, anything completely bleached white, no good. So salt water can ease the discomfort. We know that. It really goes into why that is. If that one's so easy. Steam. I don't have my essential oils out today, but I do have my, you've seen how in the Robitussin, you want to get real elderberry tea, you see? You can buy that anywhere, right? I bought this online, really great. Thyme too, you can see I use a lot of thyme. It's one of the most potent herbs. And if anything, you can make your own little tea. Like you can put a tea bag in a mason jar, you can add different herbs right from this container, and then you strain it. You can do that with rosemary, many different kinds. And steaming is really fun. You get a bowl of hot water, coarse distilled water, guys. Stay away from your damn tap water full of bad chemicals in there and just real nasties, right? A lot of particulates, we'll say. You can use eucalyptus oil, different type of oils. You put a towel over your head. You breathe that in. In this recipe, a tea tree is great. Eucalyptus is great. So you can make your own tea thyme, which is great. Thyme has been used for centuries and was even used during one of the most devastating pandemics to take place in human history, the Black Death. I have my theories on the Black Death. I don't know if that was the destruction of the melanated people or an actual plague. I don't know. I can't speak to that. But they say this really helped, people. So, you get your thyme. You can get fresh sprigs, or a handful of fresh sprigs would be the equivalent of 2 tablespoons of dried thyme, with 8 ounces of fresh water. It says directions. You can lightly brew with a mortar and pestle. I have one of those. Great to really break down the constituents of the herb, and then place it in a mug. Cover with 8 ounces of boiling water. Cover and let it steep for 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah, you see all the colors and stuff. I don't know if you can see mine, but all the color. I don't know if you can see this. It's kind of dark, but you'll see all the color like poking in. And go down without spilling it. It's alright. It's alright, guys. I got my little tissue, but you know what I mean. It gets really, really colorful, which is great. That's when you know all of the properties are in there. There's just a little spill. Yeah, I know. I can be a pig. I usually don't have drinks near my computer. I'm being really careful, and I'm almost done. And I'm going to put it away. You see how beautiful that is? You see how beautiful that is, guys? So beautiful. Yep, thyme is great. I just showed you. It has some pepper. Pepper is amazing too. And you see how it's considered the world's most traded spice. Yeah, you go into the history of the salt and pepper and the spice trade and all that. Amazing information. And really great for you. And a lot of people say that it's great to expel all the mucus that's clogging up your lungs. And all you would need is just a little bit. I would add, again, maple syrup. Actually tastes a whole lot better, in my opinion. This number 7 looks like it could be tasty for children. You get the soothing qualities. It's a ginger peppermint syrup, so you can make your own cough syrup. People make their own cough syrup with elderberries. You can buy dry elderberries. Look up the recipes online. So easy, so fun to make. And you and your children are going to be better for it. And so spicy ginger works as an expectorant. I always talk about ginger is just great. Have it in the fridge. Taking a little piece a day every few days will really get things moving. It helps to loosen and expel mucus from the lungs. It can also stop the painful tickle at the back of your throat that can trigger a cough in the first place. If you are experiencing a dry cough, the peppermint will also help relieve the irritating tickle of a cough. It says you will need 3 tablespoons of chopped ginger, 1 tablespoon of dried peppermint, 4 cups of water, and 1 cup of, like I said, I would use maple syrup. To each their own. And directions super easy. Chop the ginger and add it along with the peppermint to 4 cups of water. Bring it to a boil and then lower the heat so that the liquid simmers. Simmer until the liquid has been reduced by half, then strain. Let it cool slightly and then stir in 1 cup of maple syrup, I'm going to say it, until it has been dissolved completely. You can use molasses too, it's pretty good, has a lot of minerals. Bottle it and take 1 tablespoon every few hours as needed to ease your cough, and you can keep it in the fridge for up to 3 weeks. Look how gorgeous that is. Isn't that way better than that trashy tussin we were just reading? I mean, seriously. Seriously, guys. Terrible. So I'm going to put this for you. This is great. We'll go into some more chemicals another time. because this video could be 2 hours long and I'm already running out of time here. Got so many windows open because it's all about that pharmakia, right? The pharmakia, because you see how they're all about pushing that elderberry. Alright, am I frozen? Hopefully not, guys. Sometimes I do get frozen. It's so sickening. Come on. Maybe it is starting to freeze. That's okay if I have to just leave it for now, because I really want, because just exposing pharmakia, it is the dragon's medicine. See how it comes in more than one form, and it's the use and administration of drugs, right? And it's an ancient pagan religious use. It's a pagan practice. I expose how this is like a false belief system, how you can't serve two masters. So if this stuff is considered sorcery, what are you doing? What are you doing to yourself, right? That's why we have so many issues. Now I can understand a lot of my issues growing up. And that really helps on your journey when you're waking up. Like, you know, sharing a little bit of my anecdotal stories could help the next person. Like, you know, you can stumble upon my channel for one thing and you just gravitate, because it could be something that you're dealing with. So this was something that was huge. This will totally be a great place to start if you're new. And because this is a forced religion, and you know, the Constitution and all that, you're not supposed to force this. The religion here was supposed to be following of the laws of the Most High, right? That's why they offer circumcision, because it's the Hebrew customs that's on this land. And yeah, it's been riddled with paganism throughout the ages, but it's all these cycles, right? And it's like we must be coming down, we must be finishing a certain epic in time, right? Because people are waking up to this. You see all of the protests now. Everybody just thinks of the truckers, right? And they're saying no, 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 and that's great. But that was just the tip of the iceberg, you know? That's just one of many ways they employ this. And this is the gateway. This is the portal they use to get in your temple into, it's the Trojan horse, so to speak, to get into your household and to just wreck your whole life. You know, and a lot of it does start with the medical system, not on the street. It ends up on the street. That's the last stage, right? But it didn't start there. And so it says mind-altering drugs were widely used to induce temple sleep, during which the drugged individuals would hallucinate and see gods, goddesses, heaven, hell, demons, and all kind of spiritual things. Drugs were used sometimes for necromancy, in which the person communicated with the dead, demon spirits, to tell the future. So when you got these so-called people who act like they're so woke and they're trying to expose the truth, they're not exposing this shit. They're part of it. Straight up, they're part of it. They're just taken aback by it, right? Because that was the last one that I had. I'm not sure I'm going to use as a screenshot. I mean, it could be that one. But I was going into this book too. There was another chemical that was in that Robitussin, that tussin. Do we even have time? Do we even have to go into it? You know? It's another named Mucinex also. Guaifenesin. Does this sound like some German thing? RG Farben. But, you know, the history is pretty interesting. Similar medicines derived from the Gayak tree were in use as a generic remedy by American indigenous peoples when explorers reached North America in the 16th century. The Spanish encountered guayucum wood when they conquered Santo Domingo. It was soon brought back to Europe, where it acquired an immense reputation in the 16th century as a cure for syphilis and certain other diseases. Yeah, maybe like the extract or whatever, I'd have to look into that. But how far they go now, this is very removed from the way they're doing it now, but it shows you they were using herbals, you know. It says the 1955 edition of the textbook of pharmacognosy, that's an interesting reference that I'll have to look into, which is the study of plants and other natural substances as possible sources of drugs. The American Society, or Pharmacognosy, defines it as the study of the physical, chemical, biochemical, and biological property of drugs. Very wild stuff. I guess they use it for veterinary use. Of course, they use it with ketamine again. Crazy. Of course, see also you could go down these roads. They don't say as much as as the other one, but the side effects also: toxicity, nausea, vomit. That's the first thing your body does when it's like, oh no, you messed up. And you can get kidney stones. We all know how painful that is. I know people who got that. Diarrhea, constipation, all because you had a cough. All this shit had to happen, right? And that's what making a deal with sorcery is, and making a deal with these satans, so to speak, right? There's more than one, as many, right, who fell. They ain't gonna talk about that, guys. They ain't about that. And look at all the verses. All the verses you need about herbs. So many. So many. Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Okay? Even in the book of Revelation 22:2, in the midst of the street of it, and on every side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. Take that, liars. Right? And you get a lot of hate for this stuff. I got people in my family who don't want to talk to me because of that. You know, because I had people near and dear to me that I knew were on borrowed time because they were dealing with pharmakia. The family members were witches, you know. Witches come in all forms. They'll look like your mother. They'll look like your sister. They'll look like your cousin. They'll look like the people you've known your whole life. But when it comes to certain things that you know are wrong and evil, and they smile in your face and tell you you're the effed up one, that you're the one that's wrong, and you have all the proof in the world, and you can see them for the ghouly ghouls they really are, how do you go back? How do you unsee the truth? You can't unsee the truth, right? I hope this wasn't too long. I'm going to close out because I think we landed. Look up all the, you see this stuff at the stores, you just put in that chemical and you got all the different, take your pick, guys, mucus relief, this relief, yeah, all these commercials, they're like, yeah, we're going to run through the field, we're going to frolic, we're going to dance, you're going to thrive, and at the end it's like, blah, 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 your heart's going to fail, stroke, this, that, you're like, but I just want to take care of my cough. Get yourself some thyme, some elderberry. I know that it's, spring's coming up. People are still getting ill before it gets too warm and all that. I wanted to get at least this up because while it was still relevant, you'd be surprised how many other things this will take care of, not just your cough. But I had this printed out. There's a really great reference to herbal I was going to go into. I'll do that another time because I had this open. Really great ancient source, really great text, but I'll do a whole video just in itself. Really great. The Materia Medica, Byzantine Empire manuscript. So I was on the right track, I knew instinctively I was. By which, this all goes back to the book of Jubilees, chapter 10. Great source too, but you have to go to Sepharia.org because they try to hide that too, because how Noah was given the knowledge of the herbs for medicine, but in a lot of translations it just says medicine, it doesn't say herbs because they're trying to hide it. For shame. But, you know, it's going to be revealed to those who will listen. So I'm just a watch woman here, watching out for you guys, anything, you know. This was already stuff, you know, stuff I have going through all my binders. I got a bunch more to go, guys. It's just too much stuff, right? I'm a big, big investigator when it comes to this stuff. This stuff is so important to me. This is stuff I was already allocating. This is just a sample. This one's called Nutrition Info. Don't mind my window. It's the only way I can see myself, guys. Because when I'm recording and you can see me, I can't see me. So I don't know if I should like fix my shirt. Usually I could like fix my hair. My hair was probably doing all kind of stuff today, but that's okay. Sometimes I look a little wild in these videos. But thank you so much. We'll go into this book in the next video. Because that's a read in itself, and I don't want to take away from that. But great, it's you know, it was in circulation for about 1,500 years. So when they try to say, oh, you know, the medical, the herb stuff you're talking about, there's no validity. Look at this book. Look at the amazing pictures that were written on this book, right? And all the knowledge that was passed down. So all this new chemical stuff, it's pretty new actually. You know, I'm sure it comes from Babylon. I'm sure they did it back in the day. They probably did it in Atlantis for all we know, right? But the herbs were always the original medicine. So we shouldn't forget that, and we shouldn't forget sorcery, what it really is, and how it really looks. Right? You wouldn't think this is sorcery right here, right? And that this will mess you up. And this, when you mix it with other chemicals or other medications, big things can happen. And if you don't have it, get eSword. You'll see the word sorcerers. You see